right-hand corner of the app. Scroll down to live radio. Find us right there. All right, so we're talking about Bradley Beal, who is one of the hot names in this offseason in terms of the fact that he might be moved and the price might be lower than you would expect based on his no-trade clause, which depresses the number of teams, number of buyers, so the price goes down on the trade market, plus his large contract.
Just go ahead and give that man a 4.5 star.
I think that's fair. I think he's a 5-star player, he's an MVP, 4 is an all-star. I think if you could say he's a perennial all-star, then he's a little more than 4. It's not just like he makes an all-star team here and there.
I'm glad we're talking.
So you finally talked him into.
Yeah.
No, I said
it took some time, Key, but I got him there.
I said 4.5. You guys were higher than that. I think 4.5. I think 4.5 is generous, but okay.
4.5, 4.6, 4.7. What's the difference?
4.2, 4.3, 4.4, something like that. All right.
Now you're negotiating.
Should the well, you know what? Let's end on 4.5.
Max, almost said something. We all got fired.
No.
So the other big name is an even bigger name, really. If you're talking about just names, is Zion Williamson. Should the Pelicans consider trading him? They want Scoot, right? Like, what do they want here? Brian Windhorst. What are you giving me a look for?
Go ahead, man.
Brian Windhorst, ESPN NBA insider, was on Keyshawn, JWill, and Max yesterday, and this is what he had to say.
There's been some feel out there that the Pelicans want to move up in this draft. They have the 14th pick right now, and that they may want to move up in this draft. And I think it would be premature to say that they've made any offers of players. I don't want to go that far. But obviously, you don't have to be a next-level genius to realize that if they want to move way up in the draft, you're looking at potentially making Zion Williamson available. That would be a fascinating decision. But if the Pelicans are serious about moving up, I think it must be something that they're considering.
All right, boys. So I talk to a lot of people, and people in very interesting positions surrounding this particular situation. What I heard the other day didn't really surprise me, but I heard that Zion Williamson loves basketball. But some people aren't sure that Zion Williamson loves all the work to put into basketball to be the best version of himself. Think conditioning, think working out, things of that sort. With that being said, now if he comes in out of weight again and he does not want to be part of New Orleans, then fine. If that's what Zion Williamson, if he does not want to be there, then you put his name in this trade. If he is telling you that. But if he is not, I truly believe that David Griffin has to do what they did with Joel Embiid. You have to sit it out and wait. You have to keep him. The reality is that Zion has played 114 games in 4 seasons. Not good, understood. C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Zion Williamson have played a total of 10 games together. Let's not forget where this team was last season.
Even
they were
just
number
saying
2
those
in
names,
the West.
Even just saying those names, that's a lot of talent.
They were number 2 in the West. They were number 1 at one time when they all played together. Now, I know health is something that scares people with Zion, but he is a generational talent. I love Scoot Henderson. He is one of my favorite prospects in the draft. I don't think Scoot Henderson's high side is anywhere close to what Zion Williamson's ceiling is. So I think with Zion, with CJ, and with Brandon Ingram, I don't know how you don't run that back with the potential of what that trio can be.
You know, for me, Jay, you know how I am. I'm a what-if guy. And in the end, the injury bug and the missing of the time scares the living you-know-what's out of
Yes.
On both sides. If I'm with the Pelicans, I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know if he's available. And if I'm somebody trying to acquire him, and what am I giving up to get a guy that may or may not be there? That's a tough call. Now, we at the Pelicans, we gave him a deal tied to some stuff. And you mentioned if he came in out of shape, overweight, whatever the case may be, is he going to come in and do all the right things for us to keep him? Is he going to convince us this offseason or this summer that he's a guy who's willing to do all the little things to not only make himself better, but make us better? Or does he like just having the logo? Because there's a lot of guys in leagues, baseball, football, basketball, I'm sure hockey and other leagues, They like the logo. It's something about having a logo. And don't really care about putting in the work to become ultra successful because you think your name has gotten you already that success. So you say to yourself, well, I don't have to do anything else. But what happens is you cheat the system and you cheat your teammates. So am I willing, as a front office executive, willing to put up with that from Zion, whether it's the Pelicans or somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Zion Williamson, whatever else you think, I hear every single thing you're saying, Key, that is legit. And that's the real question with him, other than the health. And then the health is probably related to what you're talking about, too. If you take good care of yourself, you're less, he has not taken the best care of himself, it doesn't appear. And he's also been injured a lot. So, you can link that in your own mind, right? He's played 114 professional games in the NBA, the regular season. His averages are he's averaging over 25 points a game, 3.5 assists, 7 boards, almost a steal a game. If you look at his numbers, he's already at the age of 22. He's already a half step below MVP level offensive production. At the age of 22, he is a lot. But what Key brings up, Jay, about that thing that turns you from a guy who puts up big numbers to a championship-type player is a real thing.
So, Key, you and I both been through this. Obviously went through a changing situation. But, think about number 1 and number 2 in this draft. And we always say, Ja's, what you say, he was 22?
22.
22 years old. Zion Williams is 22 years old. Ja Morant's 23 years
Zion's
old.
22, excuse me.
Zion Williams is 22 years old. Ja Morant's 23 years old.
They're young.
They're both 22 and 23 years young,
Yeah.
especially in this league. So you're looking at 2 generational talents that both, not to get into people's personal stuff because I don't go there, but there have been a lot of decisions that have been made where you're saying, okay, look, young fella, we need to recalibrate and rethink about this next phase 2 of our career. If you're lucky enough in this league, Key, you know this, you can have multiple phases of your career. But phase 2 has to be very different. We have to learn from phase 1 because some decisions we made off the court, you have to own, have accountability, but we need to address those and we need to handle that.
Yep.
Grown man status to go into phase 2.
Question about that,
here's
Key.
What I would say. You want to ask me a question?
I want to ask you a question about that. What you said earlier and then what Jay just said. Have you noticed examples of players who come in the first several years?
I was absolutely about to say, I was literally, so you either figure out how to read my brain or something because I was getting ready to follow up with Jay. I was about to say to you, Jay.
I'm just glad you found your brain this morning.
Yeah, because I couldn't think earlier. Jay is absolutely right. But when you look at it from an example standpoint, the Ja situations can be fixed. Those are easier to fix to me than the Zion situation. And the reason I say that, Jay, is because they're different. One likes to eat beignets in the middle of the night, and another guy likes to have fun. The having fun part, you can put people around him and calm that down. You can change that with young guys. We've seen that. But guys that consistently are hurt and out of shape and questions about whether they love it, that really never changes because that's who they've always been, and that's typically who they're going to continue to be. I mean, there's countless examples of guys that are out of shape, guys that don't do all the right things. But from the Ja standpoint, there's been guys that have had some troubles along the way and fixed it because they cleared out the circle of people. So, yeah, there's examples of it for sure.
But, Key, we'll talk about it when we come back from break because I want to tell people very quickly where New Orleans went wrong with how they handled the Zion Williamson situation.
We got to get into that. We got to play real or not real. We have a full slate. Lots of things to do. Thankfully, we have another 3+ hours of show to do it. KJM.
Greeny.